Shuddhi. Doing karma for Antakaran Shuddhi versus doing karma to get something out of Ishvara.
No, it is not getting. The idea is not to get Antakarana Shuddhi.
Yeah.
The idea is to what? To come to know Ishvara.
Yes.
And Antakarana Shuddhi is just a means.
Just a means to know Ishvara.
Well, but we have two objectives here. One objective of the Kami Karmi is to get something out of Ishvara.
Yes.
You heard the word Ishvara Darshan. People go to temples, isn't it? And there's a darshan. They go to the temple and they go to the deity and they go these steps or whatever they go through, all these difficulties and all that. In Mexico we do the same thing. To go see the Virgin of Guadalupe and all that. That's Virgin of Guadalupe darshan, meaning vision off. Want to get close. Okay? So we have the deity, we want to have also closeness. And when we go there, normally, generally, is to get something out of Ishvara. It's like going out to to visit the president, okay, and say, oh, now that I'm here in front of you, you know what? My brother doesn't have a job. Give him a job. So to get something out of the fella, okay? Now, here he's talking about different kind of relationships. What is what? It's not to get something out of Ishvara. It's to get what? To get to know Ishvara. And we say, why do you want to know Ishvara? Because knowing Ishvara is what? You know yourself. So what? Ishvara means here is the Lord God. So it sounds a little bit sacrilegious to say that.
It is.
It sounds sacrilegious. And if a religious person would listen to this and say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And the person will be right if we see it from the standpoint of Ishvara or God being there and I being here, and then He is the ruler, I am the rule, He's the Lord and I am the servant, and so on.
Creating a separation.
That's correct. And it is, from the standpoint of the Jiva, yes, the ocean, in this case, is, and the wave are two different things. Wave, is there because of the ocean. Like individual is there because of the Lord. Isn't it? So from the standpoint of the individual, yes, you're right. There is this big difference. I as an individual, as a jiva, I'm limited in power, I'm limited in knowledge, and I'm limited in terms of objectivity. I'm here, but I'm not there. And the Lord, is limitless in power. He's all powerful. He's limitless in knowledge, all knowing, and is present everywhere. So it's completely different from me. So if I take it from that standpoint, it is correct to say this is sacrilege. This is crazy to talk about that. That knowing Ishvara, I want to know Ishvara because knowing Ishvara, I'll know myself. You see, self-knowledge is not going to be a gift given to me by Ishvara. I will discover by knowing Ishvara that Aham, Ishvara as me. That's who I am. I am Ishvara. And that sounds sacrilegious. That sounds nuts, crazy. But going back to the example of the wave in the ocean, yes, they're different. The ocean is that upon which everything is born, because of which everything is born, and upon which everything exists, isn't it? And the jiva is just a limited time, is a flicker. The individual is just a flicker. The wave, is there, but it's not there anymore. But then, what is the truth of the ocean? What is the essence? What is the reality of the ocean? H2O. What is the reality of the wave? H2O. What is the difference between H2O of the wave and H2O of the ocean? How many H2Os are there? No, just one, not two. So if the wave recognizes his or her true nature, he doesn't become the Lord. He recognizes that he has always was the Lord. Meaning what? That his nature is limitless also. Time-wise limited, space-wise limitless, knowledge-wise limitless. Why? Because the nature of the self, is actually pure consciousness. So it is not such a blasphemy. It's not a blasphemy. It is a blasphemy from the standpoint if you take the individual to be the same as the Lord. It's different than to take the nature of the self and the nature of the Lord is not two. It's just one. So that has to be understood. And to just let it out, oh, I am God, that's crazy.
Yeah, in this paragraph, I think there is a confusion. Basically, like you said, sacrilegious shows up. But if you understand a little bit deeper, where you say in the Karnashuddhi, you're trying to know by self, the self is same as Ishvara. The way you explain does come into meaning, there is no gap, there is no duality.
There's not that too.
There's no dual.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If there's such a thing as God, or Ishvara, or the Lord, or whatever you want to call him, he, she, it, whatever it is limitlessness itself.
Right.
All-pervading, omnipresent. Now, if there is that omnipresence, which is God, and me, then I am limiting him. Is the idea?
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's God and me. So then I turn my back, out of sight, out of mind. I negate him. So it is more, how do you call this? It is worse to say that. Why? Because it is not true. So God cannot be limited. Nothing can limit him, her, it. So the limitation that we create when we say I, the individual, and God, the Lord, is just an apparent situation. It is not really true. It seems to be true. And of course, on the standpoint of the individual, it is true. Why? Because I didn't create this universe. I just fell into it.
Yeah.
How? I don't know. I have no control. I was popped out.
Okay.
So I need to understand exactly what I mean. That by knowing who I am, I will come to know Ishvara. I have to understand it properly. And know that it's not blasphemy. As a matter of fact, it's a beautiful thing. Because now I don't take away the wholeness of the Lord, the omnipresence of the Lord. As a matter of fact, now I am asserting the truth of his omnipresence. He is in me, he is in everywhere. If he's in me, then what am I? I am nothing but a manifestation. A manifestation, just like a wave is a manifestation of the ocean. But it has no reality away from the reality, which is true. I have no reality except from the reality, which is the Lord. So in fact, everything, everywhere, everything here, my heart, even my foolish thoughts, they're all nothing but Him manifested as such. Then I'm honoring the Lord in that respect. I'm not diminishing the Lord. As a matter of fact, I am asserting His grandeur. That's something amazing that has to be done. Because if I take that stance, then I glorify Him. Not that He needs to be glorified, but then I sing His praises and so on and so on. By my attitude, because it's a beautiful attitude that can come from that.
Yeah, that's the context when, in Mahabharata, when Arjuna asks Ishvara, show me your true nature of yourself.
Yeah.
That's when he exposes the various forms.
Yeah, but the problem with Arjuna is that he became terrified and he actually asked, he says, come on, go back to your original form. And he became terrified because he had the same concept. He saw himself as separate from the one that's eating everything. And if you see it from that standpoint, then you say, I am going to be eaten too. He says, yes, stop that, I want to see that. When actually, the one that was doing all that was himself alone, the nature of himself. But he didn't see that, so they needed more teaching. Yeah, okay, anyway, so I just wanted to look at this.
Expounded.
Responded because it could be
Misconstrued.
it could be misunderstood.
That's,
And evil sound, to
It does.
those who don't understand, evil sound is a heresy,
yes.
sacrilegious.
Separation.
Yeah. Okay. This is, that which is that in Sanskrit refers to Ishvara, which is the cause of the world. That Ishvara, you are. That Tomasi, you are that. This equation naturally implies self-knowledge and also Ishvara knowledge. In other words, same thing. In this context, karma is performed for antakarana shuddhi. In other words, any actions you perform for the sake of bringing the mind to a high level of fitness. Okay? It says, so that the knowledge of Ishvara can be gained. Okay? That fitness is so that you can gain the knowledge of Ishvara. Okay? Not forgetting something out of Ishvara. So if you seek for antakarana shuddhi, it's not for power, it's not for siddhis. That's another problem.
Yep.
You know siddhis?
Yeah.
Power.
Powers. People go for powers, and they actually live a life of high discipline to gain powers. You know, and these powers to what? To exercise their ragadveshas. You become a rakshasa, a demon, a devil. In the Ramayana, you have this person that did that. Duryodhana was also a guy with a lot of powers. Duryodhana in the Mahabharata,
Yeah.
he was a guy with a lot of powers. He's a highly disciplined fellow, isn't it? So these cities. So when you go and practice all these disciplines, mental and all that stuff, it's for the sake of gaining something about Ishvara. Not for the sake of antakarana shuddhi. If the antakarana shuddhi is not for seeing the Lord, to knowing the Lord, it's so you can actually what? Exercise those powers so that you can actually get what you want. It's called black magic. That's what it means. Now you know what black magic is.
Yeah.
And it could be for the best of intentions even. For healing and for this and for that. You know, if it is not done as a means for self-knowledge, then it doesn't become karma yoga. It becomes kami karma. And that is very dangerous for you as a human being, because you're going to be, of course, if you walk on a treadmill, you're going to get something, but you ain't going to go nowhere. You see what I'm talking about? You're not going to go anywhere. Then you get some benefit, yes. So the practice of disciplines, ritual ceremonies, and all this stuff, incantations and all that, because all they do. Study the scriptures and all that, because they can rack the scriptures backwards and forward. They know all the rituals. They know all the intricate. They're very good at it, no problem. But if it is not done for the sake of knowing Brahman, knowing oneself, then it can turn the other way. And usually we don't understand this. Why? Because we don't have this knowledge. So here, so that the knowledge of Ishvara can be gained, not for getting something out of Ishvara. Getting something out of Ishvara implies ragadveshas. Whereas here, we want to know what He is. Why? Because knowing what He is, I know what I am. Why? Because there is not Him and I, it's only I, Him, which is Himself alone. Getting it says, we want to have the vision of Ishvara, Ishvara Darshan, which is something entirely different. Therefore, karma becomes yoga, if the person does it for antakarana shuddhi. It says, Krishna describes one who begins this yoga as far superior. Now here, he's actually saying there's some inferior and there's some superior. Now, what is the opposite of this? The person that does karma for the sake of ragadvesha only. Now, the other person also performs karma. Is not knowledge in itself. He performs exactly the same karma. But there is an ingredient in it. What is it?
Gain something. Raga
No. I'm talking about the talking against the raga dveshi. In other words, the one that seeks karma for only for self, aggrandizement. In other words, kami karmi. The other guy performs exactly the same karmas maybe. He still goes and opens a shop every day, whatever it is, or cooks a meal, or whatever he does, exactly the same thing. But there is one ingredient in the second one, the far superior one. What's the ingredient?
The attitude.
It's an attitude that he has called karma yoga. Attitude.
Karma yoga.
He has karma yoga attitude.
There he is exercising superior attitude. It's not
Well, the
superior,
quality of the action
reflects, yeah.
is high, much superior. That's why he says, therefore karma becomes yoga. Now he makes the karma, the actions, is a yoga. Krishna describes one who begins this yoga, the one who starts it, is far superior. To whom? In his commentary, Shankara refers back to the person mentioned in the previous verse, the one who outwardly performs no action, but dwells inwardly upon all the sense objects that have been given up. He's talking about the sannyasi, that without meritorious qualities takes on the life of renunciation. And he thinks he's got it.
Yeah.
Karma yoga is much better in that respect. It's far superior. Such a person can also be called lazy. In other words, the person that decides not to do anything is I'm a sannyasi. It's very easy to put a different color cloth and grow the beard and or shave the head or whatever. You better have the qualifications. Okay? There's a difference here. Please read the next one.
Laziness and idleness are not the same thing. A lazy person is one who does nothing outwardly but does everything mentally. He or she even writes letters mentally and then becomes annoyed when there is no reply. Whereas the idle person is one who is always busy without ever accomplishing anything. He or she creates all sorts of messes and then cleans them up. Such a person has no time for anything and accomplishes nothing.
Okay, go on.
In a planetarium in Hawaii, there is a coin-operated machine designed to be as busy as an idle person. Every form of mechanism can be seen in this machine. Moving pistons, revolving wheels, hammering devices, and so on. Everything that is mechanically possible is going on there, but nothing is ever produced. Aside from being a waste of energy and genius, this machine is an excellent satire on how people are busy accomplishing nothing. Do you want me to continue?
Go ahead, please.
The word
Vishishyate.
Vishishyate in this verse does not mean simply superior. To say that the karma yogi is far better does not mean that the Mithyachari mentioned in the previous verse is good. The two are completely different. One person is sitting, dwelling on things, being lazy, and the other person is active and has a karma yoga attitude. Because of karma yoga accomplishes everything, he or she is far superior to the other person who is simply hypocrite, not merely superior. There is no comparison at all. The karma yogi accomplishes the ultimate Purushartha, moksha, but the hypocrite achieves nothing, even in a relative sense.
Okay. You remember the Purusharthas. You know what the word Purushartha means?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Purushartha.
How many Purusharthas are there? You know the word Purushartha? It comes from two words, isn't it? It's a Purusha and Artha, isn't it? Now, Purusha means what?
Person.
Person. Artha means pursuit.
Pursuit.
Okay, so there's this one he's talking about one Purushartha.
Right.
What is that Purushartha he's talking about? Which pursuit?
Moksha.
Moksha, correct. What other pursuits are there on the human being?
Artha, Dharma.
Artha, yeah, right. Kama and Dharma. So, everyone, each one of us has 4 Purusharthas, mostly. And here, this person, the person that is seeking the 4th Purushartha, which is moksha. And when we talked about it last time, here, look, again, what are we pursuing here when we go like this in life? Artha and Kama. Now, where is moksha?
The back.
At the end, isn't it? Which means when I die, okay, or when somebody comes and saves me, okay. And then dharma means, well, that way I don't get in trouble here or hereafter. That's what it is. In other words, Fangona. So a person that is being exposed to the knowledge, and a person that becomes a karma yogi, look at this, the difference. The whole thing is for the sake of moksha. Moksha is in the forefront. He breaks, I think I talked about it last time, he's an initiate. He initiates a process which is contrary to what, contradicts the normal experience. It contradicts the normal experience. Like the guys that, knew that you can only jump so much, high. You can get a poggy and you can jump a little more. And then, well, there's a pool that keeps you down. Well, there's these fools that broke the entire thing and say, you know what? We can actually break loose of this pressure. Who are these guys that did that? The guys that developed the rocket ship to get out and go into the moon. These guys contradicted. In other words, they say, okay, there is a power, there's a force, but I'm going to break it. I'm going to break loose from it. That's going against the norm. And there were people saying, what are you doing, my guy? I said, we can only go so far. I said, no, we're going to break it. It uses a lot of energy. Measure energy, intelligently applied energy, you break it. So the same way here, human being comes to realize that the nature of himself is freedom absolute. Okay, that what he seeks in the 4 Purusharthas is only moksha, nothing else. And he knows that going only for Artha and Kama and Dharma, and gaining heaven, that thing is not going to really liberate him, because even if he goes to heaven, there's something he goes in and he might have to just come back. It's just another experience. So he says, but I am the whole. That's what the scripture taught. So the guy starts seeking that. So moksha becomes the end. So it's no longer something in the back of the burner, okay? This goes into the front burner, as it were. So he does still get, to secure things but it's all based on dharma. It's all based on dharma. Let's call it karma yogi. Karma yogi is someone that's going against the grain. And others cannot understand you. Yes, in fact, you can't even talk about it. It's just an attitude you pick up. But for that, you have to somehow be clear about who you are. See the idea? So I haven't been to Guayaquil, Ecuador. But I need to know that it's Guayaquil, Ecuador, and I need to know what's in Guayaquil, and then I might I get enthused about Guayaquil, Ecuador, to be right there in the equator and to stand in 2 sides of the, of the equator, and nothing happens here. Then when I die, my grandchildren and my father went there. Maybe that becomes a thing. But I need to know that there's such a thing as an equator, as a possibility of being there, and all the things that come along with it, and the glory of it, for me to start going to Ecuador. And I want to be free from San Francisco.
That's true.
Because I want to be San Francisco. So I need to have that clarity. In which direction is Ecuador? Am I going to run north or south? And if it's south, how far south? How much energy do I need to go there?
How much money?
Yeah, how much money? How many days off I need and all that stuff. Will my wife let me and so on?
Unless you're walking or biking.
I know. I need to know that and I need to commit to that. I need to have clarity about Ecuador. If I don't have clarity about Ecuador and what I'm going to get, when I get there, I can't go to Ecuador. I mean, I can be doing all kinds of things, take 3 jobs and everything, but I'm just spinning my wheels.
I like to go to Quito. And
So the point is,
it's a fun place.
the point is that this moksha, I need to know that I am that. That moksha and myself and Ishvara are synonymous. And that right now I'm not, how do you say that, claiming my birthright.
Yep.
I need to be clear about that. Then, only then, can I turn my life around. And I'm not going to be doing anything different. It's not different what I do. What is different?
Attitude.
The attitude which I do it. Now I have a goal in mind. Before I got up in the morning to go to work and I shaved and all that stuff, had the job, took care of it. Before it was just to go and commute every day to. Now, in 6 months from now, I already figured out I'm going to be in Ecuador. I got something to. And I know where Ecuador is, I know how much money it takes, I know how much time it takes. So in fact, I look in books and everything about it. I need to be clear about it. Otherwise, I cannot. So therefore, nobody will know what I'm looking for. I'm still going to go to work. I'm still going to get on the freeways. I'm still going to go take care of customers. I'm still going to go and pay my bills. I'm still going to do all these things exactly the same. But now my mind is just growing with an intense desire to be free from San Francisco. Meaning what? Mukshitvam. I want to be free from ignorance. See, that's what Mukshitvam means. Now there's some Viveka. By doing this, am I going to go to Ecuador? In other words, should I get the most expensive steaks every week? And I think I better start once a month. Why? Because otherwise I'll just, it's called Viveka. And Vairagya, thank you, but no thank you. Hey, listen, you always buy these steaks, $50. Let me say, what? Give me some cheaper meat and all that stuff. I said, what? Hey, listen, I got my reasons. This is Viveka and there's Vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion. You see the idea? So you see what Vairagya goes into the picture. Because the guy's got clarity of what he wants. So in the same way here, the karma yogi has a clarity of what he wants. Sometimes the thing turns around because it is hard to keep it up until eventually it becomes second nature to you. And then by God's grace, then you come to know Ishvara. And because of that, you come to know yourself. And there is no more struggle, period. No more struggle. That is the nature of spirituality, really speaking. But if you just perform rituals and save money and all that stuff, what for? Oh, one day I'll have a lot, but what for? I don't know, I'll find out then. What remaining things are there? Has to have the money? It needs to have some purpose to it. That's why we go to work and we're angry. Because we don't relate it
Yep.
to some kind of objective. When the attitude of karma yoga goes into a picture, to be angry at work is something, it's an anathema, it doesn't come on.
It's like going to prison if you're angry.
It doesn't even come on. Otherwise you leave when you retire. My God, if you're waiting for when will never come, even if you retire, it doesn't do anything. Why? Because there's no clarity on purpose. There has to be clarity on purpose. A life without a purpose is not a life lived.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it? You're not living life. So the karma yogi turns his life around and no longer